Hi, I'm Nollaig, which is a great name to have at this time of the year. So I am going to speak to you for 30 minutes or so about marketing and a shoestring. So there is a question section at the end, but if you would like to ask me questions throughout the presentation, just raise your hand, okay? So, as Liam said, I am the manager of the Junction Festival in Clonmel, and I've been working there for 7 years at this stage. And I think David was here with you yesterday, and he gave you an overview about what we do. We run a 10-day festival in July each year, and we also promote events throughout the year. So I suppose this is the crux of it here. We have been running a Cafés Carte Blanche programme for the last 5 years, which is essentially pop-up cafes. All different types of art forms were represented, like dance, music. We even had a canine cafe in 2009, which was hugely successful. So with the cafes, the first question we would ask is, who is our target market for this cafe? So what is a target market? A target market is a group of individuals that you're going to focus your marketing efforts on. So it's the number one thing that you do when you're determining your marketing strategy. So you need to clearly define who your target market is. I'll just give you a few examples. In 2009, we had a hip-hop cafe. So our target market was teenagers. We went and we left flyers into the schools. We rang the local dance schools. We went in and we spoke to the dance schools. We contacted Beat FM, who would be, the Beat FM's listenership is like, 15 to 25. That's their big market. So it's looking to see who you want to come into your cafe. We had a literary cafe, so we were going to all the art centre. We were asking for names of the writing groups. We were going to book clubs. So you need to clearly, set out who you want to target. It's impossible and completely ineffective to do, let's try and market everybody, and the more that comes, the better. You need to have a clearly defined strategy. So how do you communicate with your audience? There's marketing, advertising, PR, and web-based tools. So I'll just quickly go through all of these forms of communication. So marketing. There's the traditional marketing methods, such as flyers, posters, and there's a few key things to remember. You need to get the most important information onto your flyer. The most important information needs to jump out. So if I'm passing by, I can say, oh, there's a pop-up cafe, a dance pop-up cafe. Where is it on? What time is it open? And when does it open? Beware of too much text. Just get the most pertinent points in the flyer. It's very easy to try and over-explain what it is. Just do keep it brief. And imagery is, I can't stress how important good imagery is. If you have a really strong image, it will immediately provoke interest. It is worth time and whatever small budget you have to invest in some decent photographs. Now, there is a lot of people these days who have an interest in photography. You know, approach these people and say you could offer them a modest fee to come up with some interesting photographs, and they can be used for your marketing materials. Posters. In the last 4 or 5 years, we have found posters to be not as effective as they once were. We find, especially in Clonmel, it's really difficult to get shops to put up the posters. So we have dramatically reduced our spend in poster print, but increased it in flyer print. So design. Where do you go to when you want to get a flyer designed? Well, we ring around. There's a printer that we work with. They're great. They have a graphic designer in-house. They, you know, if you want something simple made up and you have the imagery, they'll quickly put something together for you. Now, that is if you have a relationship. If you're just walking in off the street and they don't know you, maybe they might charge you a fee. But do ask around, ask your friends. Again, just make sure that you get decent images to give the designer. High resolution images, that's really important. And if you're a bit creative, there's a really, really good website called pixlr.com, and it will allow you to create very simple flyers. So if you're feeling a little bit brave, I would try that. It is quite easy to use. And as well, I find working with the festival, I would get a lot of emails and messages on Facebook from people who are either studying graphic design or who are recently graduated or who are unemployed graphic designers, and they're just dying to get some exposure. So, you know, maybe contacting some of these people and saying, you know, I don't have a budget, but you can put your logo at the end. So where do you go about trying to source these graphic designers? Again, ask your friends, put a call out on Facebook, ask around, you'd be surprised. So another form of getting your message across is publicity. Writing a press release. Avoid jargon at all costs. Think of the person, the ordinary Joe Blogs, who's going to be reading your piece in the paper. Make it easy to read, avoid jargon, get the most important information in the first paragraph, and because editors normally just cut out the last few paragraphs. So get the most important information in first. When you're starting off, ring around the local papers and the local radio stations. Ask for the name of the editor and the email address of the editor. Then send it in. Make sure that you have the press release in the body of the email. The editors are so busy, they don't want to open up attachments. So make sure that the information is in the body of the email. And always follow up with a phone call. You know, it is the most persistent people that you know will get their stuff printed, because you know if you keep ringing up, they'll just remember you, but they get so much stuff in. If you don't follow up, you know, you really run the risk of not getting published. Radios. You might have an interesting story to tell, or you might have somebody really interesting coming to visit your cafe. It's well worth ringing up the radio stations and saying, you know, I have this person coming down, their area of expertise is whatever. You know, do you think there's a fit in any of your programs for this person? just ring around. They need to get material for their program too. So if you have something that's really interesting, and do pitch it to the radio stations. So advertising. Advertising is hugely expensive. Like, we have dramatically reduced our advertising spend in the last number of years, simply because we don't have the budget for it anymore. However, what we did last year was we managed to leverage a media partnership with Today FM. We had a really interesting concept for a rock concert called We Can Be Heroes, where the young aspiring musicians in Clonmel worked with established professional musicians such as Jerry Fish and Jack Ale and Paul Walsh. So we went to Today FM and we said, look, we've got no money, but we think this is we're the first festival in the country to run a program like this. And they came in. We had to spend a small amount, but they more than trebled what they gave us. They ran competitions, and they gave us a huge amount of support. So if it's a good fit, Today FM wanted to be associated with it as well. So it works both ways. So if you've got something that you feel a newspaper or a radio station would benefit from, do go in and pitch it to them. How they benefit, you could put their logo on your flyer. You could put your logo on their logo on your website. So there's different ways that you can leverage that partnership. And if you are paying for advertising, always ensure that there is an agreement that they will publish whatever press releases or photos that you send in, or they'll send a photographer out at the opening of your pop-up. Don't just hand over the money. Get talking to the editor and say, well, we'll pay for advertising, however, our budgets are really tight and we'd really appreciate it if you could publish whatever we send in to you. They won't go, we will definitely do it, but just let them know that you're doing it on that understanding. So the big thing, digital marketing. There are, your website, Facebook, Twitter, emails, newsletters, SurveyMonkey. Digital marketing is changing so rapidly. I did my thesis in 2009 on e-marketing, and I had one chapter devoted entirely to Bebo, which is completely defunct. So it's something that you just have to keep up to speed with, which might be a bit daunting, but they are really user-friendly, these sites. So Facebook, I suppose, is a really big deal. I don't know, has everybody here got a Facebook site, Facebook page? It is, if it's for not you personally, but you as an artist, it would be wise to set up a Facebook page where people like you, because then you get the benefit of the Facebook insights. So the thing about Facebook is it can be really tedious if you're just promoting yourself the whole time. People will just zone out. They won't read. A good rule of thumb is, when you're on Facebook, spend 1/3 of the time responding to messages, 1/3 of the time interacting on other people's pages, and then the other third of the time posting stuff about you or your pop-up cafe. Use photos. Photos are, people will respond to photos as opposed to text. keep it new. Use videos, YouTube clips. If you've got good YouTube clips, absolutely use them. They're really, really good. And include links in your post. If you have a pop-up cafe, let's say, at the Clonmel Junction Festival next year, you can say, oh, you know, the cafe is opening up, and then put in a link to the Junction Festival website where your cafe is advertised on external sites. It's really important to use links. And then, like, tell the fans what you want them to do, i.e., we're opening on Thursday evening, we'd love to see you there. So, as I was saying, Facebook Insights, that's just a graph. I don't know if you can see it clearly, but you can track what's working, and it's so simple if you have a page. These insights just pop up. So you can see, okay, well, somebody really liked my picture of the cat, or, you know, they didn't like whatever post. So keep an eye on the insights and figure out what is working or what is not working. So again, Twitter. In the arts and heritage sector, Twitter is used most prolifically. Good tweeters post approximately 3 times a day. I know, it's hard. So go in, follow those who are in the same area as you. Twitter will suggest people, like if I like the Heritage Council, Twitter will suggest the Arts Council or other similar organisations. If there is a somebody that you have a particular interest in, follow them. See who they're following. It's all a bit, you know, you feel like stalking sometimes. But go in, see what other people are doing, and then do it. Establish early on in your campaign what your hashtag is going to be. Like, we use the hashtag CJF14. Now, I don't know if you guys know what hashtags are used for.
Tell us.
Okay. If I was, well, an easy example. When people are the way people watch TV is changing completely. So, for example, last Friday night I was watching the Late Late Toy Show, and I put into Twitter hashtag Late Late Show, and it shows me all the tweets that people have posted on the toy show. So you can actually have there's a live stream coming into your computer, like, oh my god, I can't believe you did that, or whatever. So if I'm looking for what's happening, let's say, in the budget 2014, so hashtag budget 2014, I can see a live tweet coming in. So the information is immediate. So establish what your hashtag is going to be, and get it out there. You know, maybe put it on the bottom of at the bottom of your email, or you know, put it on your Facebook. So just get it out there what your hashtag is. So promote your Twitter address as well, and that's the same for your Facebook address. Everybody should have an email signature, like a digital signature, with your contact details and your Facebook address and your Twitter address. So email marketing. I don't know if you would have a database of people who you would like to come to your event. You would have, I'm sure you've had a network of contacts, and you have their email address. You can send them out your information through email. Always, always, always put the email addresses in the BCC, which is the blind carbon copy section in your email. It's really, really bad form to send a group message where everybody can see everybody else's email address. It's really bad practice. You can use an online tool called MailChimp, where you can just upload your lists, and you can create all these really fancy templates, and they look really professional. And then you can go in afterwards, and you can actually see who opened your email, who clicked on it, who unsubscribed. It's a really good marketing tool, but only if your list is quite big. Otherwise, I suppose you could use your whatever email you use, but just make sure that you use the blind carbon copy. Make sure that the subject line is interesting, and avoid words like free, because you'll end up in somebody's junk box. Ask your contacts to forward the email onto their contacts, their relevant contacts. Ask your heritage officer or your arts officer to forward on the email to their database of people. It's all about getting people to spread the word for you. And just, it's interesting, the most people are online after 8 p.m. to midnight. People come home, they make the dinner, they put the kids to bed, they sit down, they take out their laptop or their iPad or whatnot. Sorry, just go back to that. With the surge in growth in use of iPads and mobile devices, that's what we found. For us, it was really interesting to note that there was something like 56% increase in traffic coming to our website from mobile devices. So ongoing audience research, again, really, really important. Conduct questionnaires on people who come into your cafe. Ask them, where did they hear about your cafe? What newspaper do they read? What radio station do they listen to? How did they hear about you? There's also an online tool called SurveyMonkey, and again, you can send a survey to people if you have captured their email addresses, and that will analyse the data, and it's all very high tech and great and easy to use, and free, which is very important. So it's really important to find out how people found out about you. You need to know what's working for you and what's not working for you. So, other thoughts. For the last few years, I've been working with Kilkenny Arts Festival and Cork Midsummer Festival. Cork Midsummer Festival is on just before Clonmel Junction Festival, and Kilkenny Arts Festival is on after Clonmel Junction Festival. So our three festivals, we work with each other to promote each other's events. We're not in competition with each other. And just to reiterate what Liam was saying there earlier about collaborating, it's really good to share, to work with other people, to brainstorm, to pool your resources. So I would, if there's a show that I particularly want to promote, I will get Cork Midsummer and Kilkenny Arts Festival to mail their contact list. They would have 3,000 or 4,000 people on their email list. So contacting local festivals, local venues, asking them to spread the word for you. It doesn't cost them anything. So the worst they can say is no. It's definitely worth asking, and it's proved very effective for us. Ask your audience for testimonials, like whatever. Yeah, I had a great time at the cafe, whatever it is, and then post that out through your Facebook, through your Twitter. You know, it's good to have positive feedback and a record of positive feedback, even for your for your funding applications. Contact colleges and schools. Anywhere there's a big group of people, go in, contact them, ask who is the most relevant person to speak to. Maybe it's the transition year coordinator or whoever. And another thing I just thought of, which I didn't have down here, was SMS texting. There's web-based, I'm sure you all have mobile phones. You can go online and you can send text messages for free. I think it's, I don't know how many, maybe it's a few hundred a month anyway. So that is a very effective way to get your message out. So that is it. Has anybody any questions? There was a lot there, I know.
How does he do it?